Good morning, I'm Greg Summers and this is the Crafty Summer Show. Today we're going to make a food smoker. Since spring is here and it's just about time to start doing all those cookouts, something I've always wanted to do. And lo and behold, I found this great big tank that I thought this is the one I want to use. I was looking for a refrigerator, but I settled for this. This large blue tank actually is a pressure tank from a well. If you do have a well and you have a pump, then you have a pressure tank which helps regulate the water pressure in your house. Basically it's a large steel tank and it has a bladder or a rubber diaphragm inside that helps control the pressure of the water, so we'll have to be careful when we take that out. This one's been damaged, it already has a hole in it, it has some holes drilled in it, so there's no worry about air escaping or anything like that. Okay, the first thing I want to do is try to figure out where the door is going to be at. And I had a hard time on a round tank like this trying to get a square door on a round tank, but I did come up with one idea. And let me guess here. Here it is. What I'm going to do is take a piece of poster board, and there seems to be down here on the tank there's a little bit of a lip, and I'm going to set that on the lip right straight on that. And since this paper is square, that's going to give me a line to draw on. So now I have a vertical line that I'm pretty sure is going to be straight up and down and also square with the tank. And I want the door to be about this wide, but I want it to be higher. So what I'm going to do then is simply put one edge on there, wrap it around on top of that seam, and then draw another line up on the other side. And once I come up to the top, making sure I stay on that lip down below, I can just simply scribe a line all the way across. So now if you can see this, I have a line across here, and then I can square it down to here and square down to here, and I'm going to put one below it. So the door is big enough. You never know when you get those giant turkeys that you have to have room to get that in, so we're going to go from there. Okay, I hope you can see that, but now I have a line that goes all the way down, all the way across and back up. I've tried to come up with some different ways to cut this since it is a relatively heavy gauge of steel. I could use a saber saw with a metal cutting blade, or a cut-off saw blade, put in a circular saw. I could use a torch. I could use a sawzall with a metal cutting blade. So it basically ends up whatever you have available is probably what you should use. Just make sure you're safe. Make sure you wear eye protection, gloves if you think you need to, because a lot of times those shavings do get hot, so you want to protect yourself. And after you've done that, what you have to do is go to each corner. Like right here's a corner. And what I do is I drill a hole in each corner, and that's where I can put the blade into the hole and then cut across so you get a nice straight cut. And what I'm going to use, I'm going to use an abrasive cutoff wheel and a circular saw and use that to cut my openings. So what I'm going to do is lay that down and go ahead and start, and then we'll see what happens. This is an awfully big pressure tank, but ouch, that hurt. And I've got my lines here. This is the saw that I'm going to use here. It's a regular circular saw. I tend to have an old saw that I used to do things like this with, and then I have my good one that I used to cut wood with. So this one here, I can sacrifice it a little bit. And then I'm going to plug it in. Get my safety glasses on. And we're going to go ahead and start and see what happens. Okay, now after we've got that cut in, we want to take this piece off. Got that out. Now remember, this was a pressure tank from a well. Okay, so we want to pull out the first part, and that's the bladder that helps build up the pressure. And then we have another piece in here, and this is a liner, and that keeps the bladder from rubbing against the tank. We got that out of there. Now we have the tank all by itself, and we're ready to start putting some pieces into it. The first thing we're going to put in is I'm going to make alignment for the grate. This is a grate I'm going to use for cooking. I picked this up at a yard sale, brand new, ready to go. And I want to put this in the tank so that I can set my food on it. Obviously it's a little bit too big, but we need to line it up first. What I want to do is mark and drill some holes in the bottom so that I can set the ends of the grate into those holes, and they'll lock in like that. And then we'll take care of the front part. Okay. First I want to mark the holes. And you want to measure perfectly and accurately. And there's two. Now I want to stand this tank up. All right, so now I've got two holes drilled for this to set in. Like that. And I need to put two holes in the sides here so I can put a rod through and hold that in place, and then we trim the grate to fit. Use the same measurement as we do on the sides. That fits. And that one's pretty good. I want to ream those out a little bit. Ow. Got the grate in. And that sits on there. So now what I want to do is cut the grate off so that it's going to be far enough back that when the door closes it's not going to impede it. So that's going to be our next step. Okay, take a little sandpaper and sand the rough edges. Okay, now on the back of the grate here, I bent these down, and the reason I did that is once we put those in the holes in the back of the tank, the grate won't slide out accidentally, so it kind of locks it in place. And again, put the rod back in. Now what I want to do is cut the rod off a little bit. Okay, so now I have a place for my food to set while it's being smoked and cooked. Okay, we're going to pause for a break here, and then we'll come back after this message. Welcome back. And while you were gone, we did put the burner in just to kind of speed things up here. And this is the burner right here, this little flat paddle thing. And it attaches in the back through a hole to a propane line, which we hook up with those little camper tanks. And I simply put it on a piece of metal here to hold it up off the bottom. And now we're ready to put some supports in for the grate that the wood chips and sawdust are going to sit in to give us the smoke for cooking. So the burner provides the heat, and then the smoke provides the flavor. This tank here also bring up the paint on the outside may start to burn off. So what I want to do is, before I use it for anything, I'll turn it on, leave it on for 3 or 4 hours just to get everything cooked out. The inside is just bare steel, so I don't have to worry about any contamination from that. So I'm in good shape that way. But I do want to get it kind of cooked in to make sure everything's going to work all right. So what I'm going to do is lay this down now, and I need to drill 4 holes for some metal rods to go in for the wood grate to sit on. So here we go. Try not to make too much noise. I'm surprised at how heavy this is. Put a little support underneath there for when I drill. Make sure it's about right. Okay. Keep dropping things, and if I could just remember where my pencil's at. Okay, I want to try to put the metal rods right about where it stops bending at. So I'm just going to kind of measure here and make that 5.5. 5.5. Okay, good to go. And I'll start the first hole here, try to get relatively straight. There's one. I better make sure the rods fit through. Okay. These are stainless steel rods, so they should work really well. Now I'm going to roll it over. And measure again. If I remember right, that was about 5.5. And half. All right. Okay, if you look down here, this is the back end of the burner sticking out, and that's where the hose hooks into it. That should work pretty well. Now we'll stand it back up. Take the two rods and insert those. Okay, we got those two in. Take the grate that's going to hold the cooking pan, set that in place, and now I have to decide where that's going to be cut at. And then I'm going to use a saber saw with a metal cutting blade in it. And we'll plug that in. And we'll take the grate down and make one cut. Okay, now this is the grate that the pan for the wood's going to sit on. We already have our burner inside now. I chose a real heavy pan. Got it at a yard sale, obviously, so, and I can put this in here. And that's going to provide the smoke. So we got the grate up here, and I think what we need to do now is we're ready to put the door on, and then fire it up and see what happens. So I've got to take this stuff back out again. Take the door now, set that in place. And I'm going to use some hinges here that I got off an old cabinet door, and they should work pretty well. I'm going to use self-tapping screws and use my little handy drill here to do that with. I keep running over to pick up the screws and drop the bits, so put one last one in. All right. Drop one. See if we can drop two. Drop two. These holes I pre-drilled a little bit so that the screws won't strip out. Okay, last time I'll drop it. There we go. Drop the screws again. But that's all part of the shell. And there's no extra charge for that. There we go. Now does it work? All right. Now we got a door. We need a handle now. Okay, I found an old, drop the drill bit again, an old file handle, which I think will make a good handle. I originally was going to put a metal handle on it, but something told me that that would probably get hot, so I decided to change it to a wood handle. And of course, now I'm trying to find a drill bit that's big enough for the bolt to go through, but I can't, so. Don't do this at home. Okay, you've been warned. So I'm taking an old file handle. Now, file handles, usually the threaded part inside is tapered, but I don't have anything tapered, so I'm trying to use a bolt that's just about the right size that it'll grab that. No, not yet. Getting there. There we go. Got a handle now. And there. Got that nice and tight. Going to lift it back up again. There we go. Okay, we need something to hold the door shut because it didn't stay closed. Got just the thing. Here it is. Remember, when in doubt, always improvise. I have an old hasp here. It's half of a hasp. I couldn't find the part that hooks in there, so I got to do without it. And this goes in right here. Nice and loose. That's good. And then we got this part here, which is just simply a piece of metal. I think it's off of an old screen door or something. So it's just begging to be used for something. You have all these things at home that someday you're going to use it for something, but you never do, and then when you need it, you can't find it. Okay, so the hasp now will just simply sit down over that, and that'll open up. This is great, and that locks it in. So now we have just about everything we need. We got the burner in place, we got the grates in there. What I did do is, not knowing much about smokers, I went to a couple of stores that had them, and it looked like the ones that they use charcoal to provide the heat source with, there aren't many vent holes in it. And the ones that use propane or gas, then they have little vent holes that you can adjust the temperature, I guess, in them to let a lot of heat flow through or let it build up inside. So that's the only difference that I could tell. And there probably is more, and you should probably investigate that on your own to make sure you know what you're doing, just like I do. So I think we're about ready to hook this up and see if we can at least get the flame on. And if we can get that much, then we're ready to go. Okay, we're going to take another break and be back in a few minutes. As you can tell, we've got a look here. We got the burner running. This is our pan that we put on top, and it pretty much preheats that. A lot of times you soak the wood in water so it gives off more smoke, or you use green wood to smoke. Sometimes use a mix of sawdust or wood shavings and wood pieces to get them cooking, and kind of preheat them with the torch. Good boy, get that going. And then, hey, put the turkey in there for Thanksgiving the day before, and we'll close it up. Lock it down, and hey, look, Right up here, another yard sale special. I got myself a genuine thermometer here. Let me know what the temperature is inside. You wouldn't be a good cook unless you knew what the temperature was. And also I have a little vent hole at the top there to let some of the heat out. And I'll put a damper on that to close that off, but hopefully it'll just smoke like crazy. Okay, that's today's show, is the big old smoker. So until next time, this is Greg Summers for the Crafty Summer Show. Toodaloo.